Your fears have put you inside a prison of your creation. You're trapping yourself inside of a space that's holding you back from your most free, most fulfilling, most aligned life. But here's the secret. You put yourself inside that prison. So you can take yourself out of it. And I'm here to show you how. Hey everyone, I'm Jackie, your spiritual strategist helping you live a life of expansion, authenticity, beauty, and joy. After having lived over a decade of my life controlled by fear, I finally learned how to let things go, and this has completely changed my life. In today's video, we'll be going over my 4F method to help you transition from fear to freedom. So get cozy, settle in, and let's get started. Number one, find your fears. The first thing that we have to do to get started ultimately is just identify what it is that we're afraid of. And we can be afraid of a lot of things, and we're probably all afraid of different things. And so many of these things that we are afraid of, they showed up for us in a previous time in our lives. People can have a lot of different fears. For example, one of the greatest fears that I've struggled with is that I don't belong. And this fear of feeling like I don't belong has held me back from stepping into spaces where I can show up as my most authentic self. Other fears can include things like fears of not being enough, fear that you'll never be accepted for who you are, fear that you'll be alone forever. Like, I know some of us go through this sometimes. We think, oh my God, we're gonna be alone forever. But this is just a fear. And ultimately, fears come down to one thing, which is a limiting belief. And it's an idea about ourselves. It's a story that we've told ourselves that we believe to be true, but might not actually be true. And these fears, these limiting beliefs, they seriously hold us back from living a life of true authenticity and therefore freedom. So the first thing that I want you to do, and feel free to grab a notebook, open a Notion file, or if you don't have anything with you right now, you can just sit down, reflect, maybe close your eyes. And I want you to think of 3, maximum 5 fears that you're experiencing right now. Don't make this list too long because it becomes so much to tackle at one time. We have nothing but time. We have our whole lives to continue growing. So try not to overwhelm yourself with this activity and just think of a few key fears that are showing up for you right now. If you can't think of any fears, I want you to try to recall a time recently where maybe you said no to something that you know in your heart was a yes, but you said no because you were afraid. Maybe there was a dinner party that you got invited to, and you knew that there was going to be somebody there that you think might have a negative opinion of you. And so you didn't go to this dinner party that could have been so fun just because of that fear that, oh my God, what if that person is there? What if they judge me? What if they don't like me? What if I'm boring at the dinner party? So just think in your mind about one of those circumstances, and then I want you to write down 3 to 5 fears that are showing up for you. Number 2, you're gonna feel your fears. This is gonna be a sort of 2-part exercise because we're gonna sort of tackle what happens in the mind and then what also can happen inside of the body. So let's start with the mind. It might be a bit of an easier space for some of us. What I want you to do is for each of your fears, I want you to think in your mind, where did this fear originally come from? So most of our fears have a source. It's highly likely that this source could be something that happened in your childhood or like a younger part of your life. So let's take this dinner party piece, for example. You don't want to go to the dinner party because you're going to run into somebody you have a negative relationship with, and this is something you just don't want to face. It's uncomfortable. Maybe there was a time when you were younger where your parents made you go to a birthday party. And there was another little girl or little boy at the birthday party, and that child actually bullies you at school. This child is so mean to you at school. So you are forced into this situation where you have to be around this person that makes you feel really bad about yourself. This is something that you can carry all the way into adulthood, and that fear of this is gonna be terrible, this is gonna be awful, I'm gonna have this negative experience, you're holding on to it really, really tightly. So go through each of your fears and just write down, where did this fear come from originally? And just see if you can come up with something. Even if you know it's not going to be the like very first time it showed up for you, any example of this will be really beneficial. Part 2 of Feel Your Fears is actually to feel it inside of your body. There's a process of healing called somatic healing. And in somatic healing, we actually use moving the body, breathing, exhaling, shaking it off, and tapping into feelings to process things. When you think about this fear, pick any one on your list. I want you to just close your eyes for a minute. And I want you to think about the fear. And I want you to ask yourself, where is this showing up in my body? For some people, fears are going to show up like in their heart, for some lower in their chest, for some in the gut or lower. Sometimes it shows up in the throat. But I really want you to feel the part of the body where the fear is resonating for you in this moment. And when you have that feeling, I want you to focus on it. This could be really uncomfortable, but I just want you to sit with it just for a few moments and say, okay, that's present. As you continue to keep your eyes closed, I want you to try this activity, and bear with me because it'll seem like a little woo-woo, but it's actually really beneficial. So as you have your eyes closed, focus on that area. You can even touch it if you want to. And you can just say out loud or to yourself, thank you, body, I feel this. Thank you for letting me know that this thing is uncomfortable for me. I'm going to sit with the discomfort and I'm going to be okay with it. Thank you for letting me know about this. I'm not going to run away from this feeling. I'm going to be present with it. So often in our lives, when something is difficult or uncomfortable, we're like, see you later. Get me the hell out of here. But when we're facing our fears, we really do need to face them like face on. Face on, because otherwise we're not really going to be able to solve them. I think as humans, we love so much. We love just like shoving things down way away, like putting them in a box, like send them away, return to sender, don't want to deal with it anymore. But the more that we can actually feel into and accept and honor what's happening inside the body and what's happening inside our mind, the closer we get to actually being able to let that thing go. There's a phrase I love, what we resist persists. So the things that we don't want to deal with, they're going to come up over and over and over again. And your fears are a perfect example of this. So really allow yourself to just feel it unapologetically. Number 3, it's time to face your fears. In this activity, I want you to go through your list and just think about like the worst case scenario for this fear. What would be this fear realized at its absolute peak of awful? Let's take the dinner party example again. Let's imagine you go to this dinner, this person that you have this poor relationship with is there, and they see you and they just make a nasty comment. Like the second you walk in the door, they're making a nasty comment. You feel so bad about yourself. You're like, I shouldn't have come. I regret this. This person is here. They're going to be so mean to me the whole dinner. And then in this worst case scenario, they are. And then you go home from this dinner and you lie in your bed and you cry yourself to sleep. In this sort of like hypothetical situation, you've faced that fear. And so what I want you to do after you've written out your hypothetical situation of the worst case scenario, I also want you to write down the good things that came from it. And this can be kind of hard, but I'll give you a couple examples to get started. So in this example, we're at a place and someone's mistreating us. But the thing is, we can just be grateful for the fact that we showed up. We can be grateful for the fact that there were plenty of other people at the dinner party that were really happy to have us there. Maybe if this scenario actually played out, somebody at that dinner party would stand up for us. Or maybe we're at a point in our lives where we're ready to stand up for ourselves. And we go into that dinner party and we meet this person and they're not kind to us. And we say to them, hey, I'm not appreciating the way you're treating me right now. And you're going to need to stop. So maybe we see, right, that this fear, that this thing that's so scary, perhaps we have more of an ability to let it pass through our lives than we even realize. So I really want you to go through each fear and just understand, like, what is the worst thing that can happen? But what are the good things that can happen too? And always remember, right, when you face a fear, you're gonna increase your resiliency. And this is just such a critical life skill. People that are resilient go so far in life. People that do not train these things, they always stay inside, they always stay away, they're always shying away from what's challenging for them. They tend to have, stunted growth, or they don't grow at all. Really, to grow, we have to confront the things that are scary and uncomfortable for us. And finally, number 4, experience freedom. This is the best part. This is the best part of the whole activity. And I really have to share from my personal experience. The more I've actually been able to let go of the fears and let freedom in, my life has completely changed. There was a retreat I went to recently where one of the facilitators in this retreat told me, Jackie, on the other side of your fear is freedom. And this is so true because our fears hold us back so much from living the life we only could have dreamed of. So here's an example for you right now. I'm here sitting making a YouTube video. This is the first video that I have made in 10 years. And I have been so afraid of putting myself out there online again and having the openness to just share truly from my heart these things that I've learned and that I feel called to serve the world with. And that's where the freedom happens. When you can actually let go of these things, there is something on the other side. And that thing on the other side is worth 100 times more than whatever that fear was. I promise you. We're back at the dinner party. And now we have finally let go of worrying about having negative interactions with other people. We let that thing go. That is gone. And now, every single time that we get invited to a dinner party, even if we know that there's someone there that we might have a negative interaction with, we're not afraid of it. We're at peace with it. We acknowledge that our body doesn't feel super good knowing that person is going to be there. We know that that came from a place when we were a child, when we had been bullied. But we also know that the worst thing that's going to happen to us is that it's going to be a marginally uncomfortable situation, but that overall really good things are going to come from it. So now we get to go to that party and we're not focused on that person. That person probably is and could still be mistreating us, but that's not where our energy is going and that's not where our focus is going. And instead, we're pouring all this gratitude and all this love into the people that are there to support us. And we feel so at peace and we really get to enjoy our time. And that is the freedom. The freedom is on the other side of these things that we keep building up in our mind. Humans love to tell stories. We are master storytellers, which is a big reason why we have such a beautiful and rich history, and we've been able to pass down so many cultural traditions. We love this. We love the storytelling. But this is this negative side where we tell ourselves stories and then we repeat them over and over and over and over again, and they become these solidified things. But when we can actually let them go, truly just let them go and create new narratives, that's where the freedom truly begins. I'm gonna add a 5th little bonus one for anyone that feels called to do this. The 5th F would be fire. So if you are feeling compelled to do this, you can actually write down these fears and burn them. Truly just burn them to the ground, fully let them go, let them disintegrate into ashes. At the retreat I went to that I mentioned before, we wrote down our fears and we threw them into a large fire. We sat with the fear, we really absorbed it, and we watched it burn. And there's something so cathartic about that process of just seeing this fear disintegrate. So if you want to add a 5th bonus F for your F activity, throw the fear into the fire. It's very satisfying. I'm Jackie Solana and I make videos on spirituality, life design, strategy, and anything and everything that helps you become the most aligned, most authentic version of yourself. It would be my honor if you followed along in this journey. Have a beautiful day. I am so grateful for you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now.